I represent a lot of building supply companies, like drywall suppliers, lumber yards, roofing supply companies. I also represent a lot of contractors, mostly subcontractors, tradespeople, roofers, ceiling installers in the commercial world. In construction, there's basically two types of construction. There's commercial and there's residential. And what I do is represent on larger projects the different tradespeople or the different suppliers. For example, building schools, police stations. Those are the public projects, and that's a whole different subset. And then there's also private projects, apartments, condominiums. And we represent, same thing, suppliers and contractors and those as well. And there's usually a distinction between public and private as a type of contracts that you enter into, the type of collection activity that you need to do if you don't get paid on a project. And then you have the residential construction, and that's, for example, on your home or a condominium. And there's different rules that apply to residential construction as opposed to commercial construction as well. What happens is when you're representing somebody on a construction project in the public sector, a lot of times the scope of the work comes up as a topic. Some of the contractors will say, that's not in my specifications, that's somebody else's work. The general contractor will say, no, that's yours, and there's usually a dispute over that. There's also disputes over change orders, extra work that the contractors perform. And those are usually the areas of dispute and, of course, payment. Sometimes payment isn't made when it's supposed to be made, and you have to pursue that as well. What happens in a public setting, unlike private, you can't lien a building, a public project. You can't lien a school, you can't lien a police station. But what you can do is make a claim on what's called a payment bond. And every construction project, large construction project that in the public world has a payment bond and performance bond to guarantee that all the contractors and suppliers that are working on the project get paid and that the work is performed properly. So that's the avenue that you would pursue if there was non-payment. You would go after the bond. On a private project, apartment buildings, or any kind of commercial building, you can put on what's called a mechanics lien. And that's a kind of a particular area of the law where if a contractor or supplier provides materials or labor and materials to a project and something happens and there's a dispute and the general contractor or the owner is not paying, then these contractors or suppliers can put on a mechanics lien on the property. And that basically secures your right to payment down the road after your dispute is resolved.